All right. It is just a few seconds before 7 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and kind of get myself started here. Just a few seconds before 7 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and kind of get myself started here. Okay. I'm going to go with auto-generated option. That's not what I want. This is what I want. Closed captioning. I don't want subtitles. All right, where's my closed captioning? All right. Okay, I am going to go ahead and go with this, and things sound normal. All right, so I am going to welcome you to Virginia's Creative Stamping Corner. It is 7 o'clock on Tuesday, January 31st, and I am actually looking at everything. Came on a little bit early so I could make sure that I got myself on Facebook so that you won't have to listen to me blather back and forth about being on Facebook. Okay, so there we go. I'd love to have you leave a comment. If you are watching this for the first time, or if you're watching this or watching me for, you watch me every week. It's lovely to see the comments, and I look forward to looking at those and welcoming you as you write in where you're from and who you are, and um, that way I feel like I really have a live audience, and that's fine. Those of you who are watching the replay, welcome, and I hope you enjoy the replay. And you can also leave me a comment as well. That will be very helpful, and that will allow me to um, come in here and see who has been watching. And if you have anything you'd like to share with me, then that would be very nice for you to do that in the comments section. All right, so at this point in time, on this dreary evening, cold evening in the last day of January, I'm going to present you with some ideas for Valentine's Day cards, and I want to show you a couple of techniques to use with putting this particular card together. There is something a piece of equipment I will be using I haven't used online on one of my demonstrations before, or it's actually maybe I have, but it's been a very long time. So I want to make sure that you know that using this particular or this tool with this stamp set is going to be valuable for you because it will help you with positioning your stamps. All right, so here is the card that we are going to be making. And I did do my little envelope on there. This is a regular standard card. I did do a little bit of a pop-up insert there. Normally I don't. I just usually stamp on the inside. But I did one of those as well with love in the petal pink. I'll tell you all about the colors and everything. Let's look very quickly at the mini catalog where this stamp set or this suite of products comes from. It is in our new mini catalog, the one that runs from January through, I believe it was probably the May 1st would be the ending date on that one. Yeah, it looks like okay, May 1st. Um, it's very small on the back, so I have to kind of look at it carefully. Okay, in the mini catalog, it is the Sweet Collection called Country Floral Lane. It's located on pages 8, 9, and 10. 10 gives you a little bit more of an in-depth view of what the stamp set looks like. It does come in a bundle, and in that bundle you get this lovely punch, which I will show you a little bit in other cards exactly how I use that punch. And this, as our usual, punch the layout of it. Be careful when you stamp it so that you can make sure that you know what direction you're stamping it so that you can get the paper in there just right. This also cuts out some of the designer series paper, which I'll show you in a minute. This cuts out the designs on one of the pages. Okay, so there's that punch that we're using. All right, now the other pieces that we have in here, we have lots of paper. I've showed you the punch and the stamp set. Here is actually a close-up photopolymer stamp set. These two pieces we'll be using with the Stamparatus in a few minutes. So I want to sort of quickly go through things so we can get right to the stamping part, because this will take a little bit longer than I normally take with the stamping, because I want to show you how to use it. Okay. All right. So there's that. There is not a die set, but there is a punch that goes with it. I did, however, decide to use the layered circle framelits, and I will use these blanks here in a few minutes, and we'll use those with the Stamparatus, and I'll show you how to get that all set up. All right, okay. Let's see. Let me put things over here. And let's talk a little bit about the paper and the embellishments. The pastel adhesive backed sequins are in here. I think you have two sizes. The larger, and I think maybe seeing that on a white background would be better, but I don't have, okay, so there. All right, a white background. You see that? That's the larger ones. Here are the smaller ones, exactly the same. There's a gold and a light petal pink, and then I believe that's probably Coastal Cabana. All right. Okay, so there are those colors for the sequins. We will also be using other colors that I will mention as we go along. There is a set of ribbons that comes as part of this. Unfortunately, at this point in time, as of the 28th, they're on back order. Okay, they're not available to order. There's a burlap-like ribbon, and then this narrower red satin type ribbon. So those are part of the real red and burlap ribbon combo pack. Let's see, the other ribbon we'll be using is the metallic woven ribbon in the Sweet Sorbet color, because that's the cardstock I chose to use, and Sweet Sorbet is one of the colors in this on this designer series paper. Sweet Sorbet petal pink. Let me see if I can get this out for you so you can see it a little bit better. Trying to arrange my paper so it's a little bit better. Sweet Sorbet, petal pink, mossy meadow, balmy blue, and mint macaron. Those are the colors that are in this designer series paper. In addition to the big designer series paper, there's a smaller pack, and I'll show you that in just a little bit. The pack of the Country Gingham. These are 6x6. The other set of papers, designer series paper, is 12x12. And I'm going to just sort of fan it out and show it to you like this. And hopefully you can see this, because there is a lot of it, and I said I don't want to take an awful lot of time, looking at the paper, because we've got a lot to do here. All right, now I'm going to flip this over and show you the opposite side. You see Sweet Sorbet, balmy blue, and petal pink are the main colors in that one. The mint macaron you see as in on this side a little bit more, and the mossy meadow on this side. All right. Now, this is the piece of paper that you can take and literally cut the punches, use the punch to cut out. And it is nicely and conveniently arranged in rows, so that can be easily done. And with the punch, I always turn my punch upside down, and you place the punch on the row. I would cut this in strips first before I would do anything. And then you just place it like that, hold it, get it in the place you want it, hold it down, check it out, then punch, and all the pieces punch out for you. All right? So that's the paper that is the one that you can use the punch with. All right, now, the next piece I want to show you is the Country Gingham Designer Series paper. Again, I'm going to span this out. The same colors are part of this group as well: Sweet Sorbet, Balmy Blue, Mint Macaron, and Petal Pink. All right. And you have several different designs. And there it is on the other side. Always, our papers always, except when it's specialty paper, two-sided designs, a design on both sides. So that really makes it nice. Sometimes it's hard to use one side over the other, but that's the way it goes. All right, so there's that paper. And I wanted to show you some of the things that I've done. I cut out and always save my pieces. So I did save some of these pieces, and these are some of the pieces that I punched out from for another card that I'm going to show you in a few minutes. All right. I tried several ways of doing the shape here in the card, and I believe that's all I need to tell you about that suite. You can order that suite with one number, and that'll give you all the things that I've shown you. All right, it's part of for $78.75. And oh, I forgot to mention, and I am remiss in this, not mentioning this. Celebration is ongoing, so if you were to buy that suite, you'd have at least one free item that you could choose from the Celebration brochure. Because if for every $50 or for $100 increment, you can get a free item, and you get to choose which you would like to have. This is a 48-page pack of 12 by 12 designer series paper as a free gift for a $100 order. So, all right, there you go. All right, and of course we have our annual catalog, and that's always available. If you do have a demonstrator and you see something you like this evening, please make sure that you contact your demonstrator and order it. A lot of the things that we have, particularly the things that are in the Celebration brochure, are while supplies last. And so we already have a couple of things in the mini catalog that are not orderable at the moment, and there's one thing that is not orderable at all. I guess they're totally out of it, and that's the Lucky Clover Punch, which I'm a little disappointed in because I was hoping to get that, but I guess I missed out. Okay, so that's what you get for not, you never know what's going to be really, really popular, and that definitely is a very popular punch. Okay, so other items that we are using with our, to make this card: the Sweet Sorbet ink, Mossy Meadow, and I did pull out some of the Petal Pink. And this is a photopolymer stamp set, so you're going to need to be able to use this. This was on the inside of the card, if you remember, the heart and the words "with love." Okay, now let's look at the materials that we need. I think I've covered everything, and then we can get right to stamping. All right, so here, of course, our envelope, which I think I have already stamped so that we don't have to worry about that. All right, you'll need a scrap of Mossy Meadow to cut your banner with, and I want to show you, this is a layer actually. The Happy Labels PAP stands for Pick a Punch. Okay, so you pick whichever one you want. You get all those pieces of especially white cardstock that are like a half an inch or 3/4 of an inch or an inch wide when you're cutting your paper, and this is perfect for using for little banners that go across the card. And I use that here and up here, and then I also use the 1-inch piece here as well. So that's definitely 1 inch, and I used this not this is kind of like a ticket stub piece, but I used the other one because it kind of went along with the scallops around the edge. So there's scallops on this edge as well. So you need a mossy meadow scrap. You need a piece of ribbon, which is probably about 6 inches long, maybe a little longer. Don't have my measuring thing with me here. Actually, I do. Hold on. Okay. So this is going to tell me that's 7. Okay. 10, a little over 10 inches, okay, of ribbon. And that length can vary depending on how you're going to use this. I'm going to put it underneath of this piece just to kind of, to give it a little accent, a little color. All right, so there's that. You need a piece of designer series paper, and this designer series paper is 5 1/4 by 4. Now look at the designer series paper. You see when they did this heart, and this is one of the stamps is exactly this heart. They did a couple of different colors for the flowers, and they could do that on the paper. In order for us to be able to do that, it would take several steps to do that, and it can be done, but there's a bunch of wiping off of the ink on it once you've inked it in one color. And anyway, it's too much of a it was too much for me to try to explain to everybody this evening to do it that way, so I opted to go with the two colors, the mossy meadow and the sweet sorbet, and in those colors, and then I'm picking up the pink in other ways. Okay, the petal pink. So there's your designer series paper. You'll need scraps of, yes, here's my blank, okay. Scraps of basic white to do your banners with. Just wanted to say Happy Valentine's Day. And then we're going to be stamping on this. This is a piece you'll need scraps of petal pink to cut this out. This is the scalloped background from the layering circles punch. I have a piece of petal pink, which is a layer underneath my designer series paper. Is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. Then I have a piece of the basic white, which is to go on the inside of my card. So I'm thinking that's probably, all right, it's 5 1/4 by 4. Didn't write that down here on that. Okay, on my cheat sheet over here. And here is a piece of the sweet sorbet card stock that we will be using, and it's your regular 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and I've scored it in the center at 4 1/4. All right, so there we go. So that's all the material that you'll need for that. Okay, well, let's set that aside for right now, and let's go ahead and look at my Stamparatus. It's going to get a little crowded here because there's a lot of here. All right. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and I set up my Stamparatus so that I have a place to put a blank. Okay. And I have my stamps here and I can put my panels here and here. And I believe the way I have it set up, I can just take my blank, which was cut with and just stick it right in there. All right, I want to scooch this up just a tiny little bit to make sure that doesn't move at all, but it also does not interfere with the stamp itself. I've already mounted the stamp on this. Okay, so I'm going to have to turn it because I think I have this upside down. I could rearrange it for you and show you again, but here we go. Oh, I think this is how I had it. Okay, let's see. Yes, this is how I had it. Okay, so there it is, exactly like I need it. And it's going to get a stamp right there in the middle of that place. This little blank piece is really very, very helpful. That's going to work really, really well. And these are my magnets, of course, holding it all down. All right, now, in order to be able to, and we need to do this in our mossy meadow, in order to be able to do this and not damage the plate at all, I need to put something underneath of it. There we go. And then I'm going to, this is the greenery part of the stamp in the Country Bouquet stamp set. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink that up. That looks pretty good. All right. Then I'm going to go ahead and position it over top of my blank. All right, I'm going to press down on it. Now, I find that if you go in one direction, that's the best way to do. If you zigzag it back and forth, you're going to move it somehow. So just go in one direction when you're pressing down. Another thing you could do is you could use these little like hockey puck kind of things like that game that you can play table hockey, you know, and you just push it down in one direction, and that should give you a nice solid stamp. Okay, now I'm finished with that. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch plates. Again, both of these plates have been added to and are in the right position. I'm going to double check it, but they are in the right position for me to just fold it back over and do the same thing. I see here I didn't get as much of my green in there as I should have, so I actually can go back and add. This is the beauty of the Stamparatus. You can go back in, and perhaps I didn't ink that part of it very well. And see if I can get that to ink a little bit better. Oh, there's that leaf. Okay. So we'll go back and do that again. It should be the same positioning. All right, and there's the one that I didn't get inked well. Okay, and that should work. Okay, there we go. And you can do that as many times as you need because it's always going to be rooted on there, and it's going to be, it's not going to move. Okay, so now we're going to take this and we're going to put our sweet sorbet on it. And you can see how complicated it would be because there's little flowers, different shaped flowers and hearts and whatnot. And I'm going to just go ahead and make it one color. Okay, I'm hoping that's going to be good. You always hope, kind of hold your breath a little bit, but if you positioned it well, and I practiced and practiced on positioning it. There we go. I'm pushing down. Make sure that my ink. Check it and see how well it did. Now it's one of those that's not going to come across as being very solid. This stamp does not stamp solid. All right, because there's going to be some white spaces. So not to worry. All right, so that's the best we can do. All right, so we're finished with that. Excellent. Okay, very good. Let's take our blank out of there. I'm going to leave that in that same spot because if you want to make multiples of this, you can certainly do that. Just cut out a bunch of circles, you know, using the die cuts, and then you can proceed from there. So I'm going to just leave that there. Actually, I'm going to take that off of there and put it that way. Okay, good. Out of the way. All right, put that over here, out of the way. And so there we go. Now we can start putting our card together. And I believe I need to, let's see, there was a piece I just don't think I did that piece. Okay, for the inside. On the inside, I showed you that I had done the other, and I don't have any white paper here unless I use one of these pieces, and I can certainly do that. Okay, and the with love. So let's go ahead. It is photopolymer, so I want to make sure that I use this. I found something else I needed to stamp, so that's why I'm kind of backtracking here a little bit. All right, here we go. And I need to stamp this because I don't see it in my envelope. Okay, that little piece that I put on the inside on the insert. All right, this is with my petal pink. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and use this. This will cut out with the punch. All right, so it's a scrap of white, so there you go. And then I'm going to use the With Love. Get that nice. Okay, and just position this as best you can. All right, very good. Excellent. Okay, take your time. I am a very careful stamper. I never rush. And so I don't like the results that I come up with when I rush. So let me take it over here. I've got ink on my hands. By the way, you can use a little bit of the hand sanitizer to get the ink off if that becomes a problem. All right, so I've done that, and so that piece is ready. And so what the next thing I can do is begin to put this together, but I need to punch that little piece out. So here's the punch, the Country Bouquet punch. And since I have that on a nice piece right there and I knew which way it should go, I'm going to hover over this. Okay, and it's in the right place, and I'm just going to press it down. And there is the piece that we need right there. You will have little pieces cut out and flying everywhere, but that's okay. You'll figure it out. All right. Excellent. Okay, and let's go ahead and start putting this piece together. I'm going to start on the inside and the insert that goes in here. I believe this is probably, yes, it's 5 1/4 by 4 1/2, I believe. All right. I usually use for this, and I've told you several times, the reason I do this is because there are often times I get really neat cards, and I love them and I appreciate them and I'm very happy to get them. But you know, my whole deal is to be able to send things to people, send cards to people, to just kind of spice up things a little bit, to give people a little bit of encouragement or whatever. And so I'm using my Stampin' Seal to put this in here, because that way, if I have to move it, if I have to take it out, it's a little bit easier to do. And I'm a big recycler. So if I see a card I really like and I know, hey, a friend of mine would really appreciate this card, I can take the insert out and then put it in, put another insert in there, and then I won't have to worry about, I will keep the message and a picture of the card, and then send the card on to someone else. So they can enjoy that. Okay, now this way we can put our little, there we go, put that on the inside there. Okay, and that's flat enough so it's not really going to make a real big huge difference. All right, so I'm going to set that aside for a minute, and I'm going to put some of my layers together. That way I need to add my designer series paper to my petal pink layer, and this has a very narrow border to it. So I will be using my Tombow glue. I will also use that with this as well, and then I'll pull out my dimensionals too, and we'll be using those in a few minutes to put this card together. All right, so I'm going to give a little bit of glue on the very edge of this. This is a full bottle of glue, so it really wants to give me a lot. And I don't really like to have a lot of glue, so I try to gingerly and sparingly use it so it doesn't go gushing out all over on the sides. This will help me as I turn it on the side to look at all four sides and see if it's pretty even. That looks pretty good. Because the glue allows me to move it around if I need to, that's why another reason I like to use the glue on my layers. Okay, so there's that. And then I am going to glue this part down to the card base. All right, so there's my card base, the front part of it. I always double check because I have been known to put these together backward. So I want to make sure that this is on the left-hand side, turned over, and this is the side that I'm going to glue the front part to. So being careful, remembering where that is. It's like remembering when you do your, you cut your designer series paper, you know, you want it to all, of course, go in the same direction, and some of the paper is directional. You know, the flowers are, you don't want them upside down on your card, so you need to be careful looking at that. This is definitely a directional piece of paper because the hearts are sitting up the way they are. So this has got a very thin margin on all four sides, along with the petal pink, which is a thin margin as well. Okay, I like just putting this together here. All right, now that's going to sit aside for just a minute. Again, another thin margin around the edge of the layering of these circles. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit in there, not too much. Don't want to put too much in there because I don't want it mushing out the side. Gets very messy, and this glue is pretty good. It definitely a little bit goes a long way as far as this glue is concerned. So I have to kind of look and see that my scallops are kind of evenly like that, and I can move that around a little bit if I need to. All right, there we go, and that's ready to go. Okay, now I am going to use dimensionals on this. So let me pull my dimensionals over here. Okay, grab a brand new card of dimensionals. That's always exciting. Okay, and something here, something here. I don't actually I do. I'm going to put this here. But before I put these, because this is going to go over top of, and you can't see it, I'll pull it over here. It's going to go over top of this piece right here, which is glued down on top. I'm going to veer a little bit from what I did when I made the card. You know, as you make a card, you learn, oh, I could have done that a little differently, kind of thing. So I am going to put my, I'm going to cut this into 4 pieces. Remember, this is a little over 10 inches. You can make it however long you wanted. Originally, I was going to take it and put it so that the pieces would loop. Well, it just didn't look right. So I'm going to cut it in 4 small pieces. Okay, and I'm going to use that center right there to kind of give me an idea, and I'm going to put that down with a glue dot. Okay, so I'm going to do this as well, and I want to make sure, let me do this on the card so I can see exactly where, okay, where that's going, because I want it to be just a little bit off. I don't want it too much on there. Okay, that should work. That should work. Okay, and then this will work. All right, let's glue this down first, and then that way we can go from there. There are a couple of different ways you could do this. I'm just trying to rethink it and perhaps thinking a little bit too hard. It's not that difficult. Okay, here we go. All right. And okay, let's put this on here. I'll try to even that up. Get this going right in the center as best I can. Okay. Another way you could put these strips on is just take them and put them on the center and in the center and just and I may just do that because that just seems to be the simplest way to do it. Put a couple of glue dots down and do it that way. So that's what I think I'll do. And that way it's less of a hassle. All right, I'm going to put a glue dot here. And then we're going to attach these little fellas. And we can always trim this off and make it shorter. And I might want to crisscross them a little bit maybe. There. Okay. And then let's put another glue dot down. And there it is. Okay, and then let's take these two pieces. Okay, now this is going to be covered up, of course, with this piece right here. So let's go ahead and put those like I was doing before. Actually, I try to put these on without pressing them down so I can move them if I need to move them. So there's that, and there's that, and I believe I want to put one more on here to make sure that sticks. I'll move this out of the way. Okay, there. Now I'm going to push them down because they're in the position that I want them. Taking off the backing, the paper backing on the dimensionals. I'm going to place this on here, and again I'm going to try to use my grid paper here to make sure that I have things even and lined up so that it's straight across there. Okay, there we go. Okay, and then these two things, again, I have my, there we go, my dimensionals. Oh, I did that already. All right, just wanted to say, and I wanted to push this to the edge here, to the edge of the Designer Series paper. See if that's pretty even. That looks pretty good. I'm going to push that down. This one I will use 3 dimensionals with because I want to make sure that middle piece stays and doesn't go bowing in the center. Sorry. The more I talk, the more my voice gets a little raspy, so I apologize. I do try to drink water and whatnot, not have anything to eat before I do this so that I'm not constantly clearing my throat. All right, now this is going to go on this edge, so it's kind of like chew, do, chew. Okay, like a Z shape. All right, there we go. Happy Valentine's Day. All right, and there is our card with the exception of the little pieces that I wanted to use, and I believe I used the small pink ones. I believe that's the petal pink ones. So let me pull those off of there. And I wanted to put these to give it a little bit of glimmer in some of the flowers so that there's definitely a little glitter or glimmer there. There. And let's do another one kind of over here. All right, so that gives us a little bit of the light petal pink color in there that we weren't able to put in with the other way. I mean, it just, the more I thought about it, the more complicated it seemed like it was getting, and I thought, no, I'm not going to have time to really go through and give a lot of detailed instruction on that. So here is the card, and I'm so glad that I got the opportunity to show you how to use the Stamparatus. That is the best positioning tool on the market, and I really have enjoyed using it. I haven't actually used it as much as I probably should, because I usually depend on my own eyesight and steady hand to do it. But there is the card that we made. And you can go back and trim these a little bit. I don't have my ribbon scissors over here, so I think I'm going to wait until I get my ribbon scissors to give that a trim. But just wanted to say Happy Valentine's Day, and it says with love on the inside. So there is the card. And let me clear a few things off here so that you can see a little bit better the other cards I have to show to you. Now, this was, I thought, a fairly basic card, although there were a lot of layers on that one considering what I usually try to do. I love to use Pinterest and YouTube and whatnot, and I found Cindy Lee B, one of my favorite demonstrators. Cindy Brumbaugh is her name. She lives in Philadelphia, near Pittsburgh, I believe. She did a design that's called a bay window fun fold, and I wanted to show you how you could use this card and this to do that with. And I did do a little on my envelope there. This is the way you can see that it's in panels, and it is folded so that it slides underneath of this, and it is a bay window. I thought that was so cool. I really do like this, and it actually is a book binding type of configuration. This piece is bound down there so that it doesn't open all the way. And then of course on the inside I'd used a lighter color cardstock that you could write on rather than my typical white or basic white. So there is the bay window fun fold, and it just, when you open it up, it just folds down flat and fits nicely inside the envelope. So there's that. And then I guess I was kind of in the mood to do fun folds, because the next one is also a fun fold, and this is one of Susan Campfield's designs, and she calls it the double faux step card. Okay. Step fold, she calls it that. This is what I did with that. I'm not quite sure that I'm totally finished with it yet, but here it is. I love that we are friends. It says Happy Valentine's Day, but that is the card, and it sits up very nicely. You can see how it's a fun fold, and it has two panels on it. All of that, and this piece in the center is a panel as well. And this is where you can write your message, or if you want to write more, you can, always stick that in the envelope. But this was really, I thought it was really pretty. She did a number of these in November, and so I thought I would, and she did a recent one, using this stamp set, the Country Floral Boutique stamp set, okay, and the designer series paper. So there you go. So there is that. And I hope you enjoyed watching this and looking at this and listening. I hope I was able to inspire you. If you need to order any product and you don't have a demonstrator, please don't hesitate to contact me, leave me a message. I also wanted to point out at this point in time, I am in the process of transferring my Facebook videos to a YouTube page, which is also called Virginia's Creative Stamping Corner. And I wanted to make sure that those two names were the same, but they're on different um, platforms, I guess is the word you use to describe it. And eventually, what I would like to do is to totally move over to YouTube because it's a much better streaming type of platform to use. Anyway, but I will keep my Facebook page for a while, and I keep doing this until I've got a lot to learn about it. But at least I've started in that direction, and I'm excited about it. It will give me a wider audience, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping that the cards that I do make will be cards that people will be interested in making and will um, pursue purchasing products from me. That's again the end result that I would like to have. Anyway, so that's it for this evening. I don't want to go too much longer because I don't want to hit too far into my past 45-minute limit. And that's a limit that I impose on myself because I don't want to take too much time from everybody's evening. So anyway, these are the cards. Any questions? Contact me. I'll make sure that I write all the necessary measurements and so forth in the comment section so that you can go back when you go watch the replay so that you can make this card or a card similar to it with whatever materials you might have on hand. And then that way you can you can have measurements for the size of paper and so forth. Okay? All right. Thank you so much for being here. Take care of yourselves. Stay warm and dry. And enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you again on Tuesday, February 7th at 7 p.m.